Let's start off with Antonin Kinski. 4s all round from us, 4.2 from you guys, so just a bit above what we've rated. Yeah, look, shocking for the second goal. Parries it completely to the nearest Brentford player. I thought his playing out the back seemed a bit off to what it usually is. I remember one or two just going completely out of play, which is very uncharacteristic of Antonin Kinski. Not commanding enough his own box. And the third goal, I thought, look, you say it came off one of our players and hits Kinski, but I need to look at it again, but I thought it was a decent save. And it parries straight to a Brentford player, but I thought our defenders should have been doing better to follow up. But yeah, not the greatest day at the office for Antonin Kinski. Yeah,
I mean, considering we've given him all this confidence to be our number one, to have that on game week 1, where like immediately he's showing some flaws after 7 great games last year and a great preseason as well. It's got to be concerning, but I'm not going to judge him too harshly on this one game, but definitely the second goal was a howler, like absolute howler. If that was Vicario, we'd all be letting into him. It was a horrible mistake.
Kinski, we're still laying into him.
It was a horrible mistake. He definitely lost the ball more than he does. He did have some really good passes as well. I remember there's a few times like he was able to find Robertson and I think one from Tel as well. He was definitely asked to play the ball longer in this game, for sure. He actually played as many long balls in this game as Kelleher. So I think that shows that. But yeah, I just thought his handling, he just didn't seem great. I mean, I don't remember too many saves he actually had to make, because I think a lot of their shots were off target, but it wasn't a great showing from Kinski.
Yeah, he'll bounce back. I'm pretty certain of it. Next up is Archie Gray. Sim gives him a 2. I gave him a 3. Didn't look at the races at all. You mentioned before that he didn't get too much help from Mikey Moore, and he was completely isolated against Sharda and Lewis Potter-Keem, and they ran him ragged. They ran him completely ragged. The third goal, I think it's really poor defending for the corner, because he's got that man at the back post. He peels away and he doesn't even know about it. And yeah, I just thought, I can't remember too many positive things I can think about with Archie Gray. He makes history, captain on the day. And by the way,
that is being called into question.
It should be called into question, in my opinion, because you got a 20-year-old where some people at the beginning of the season are like, this guy should be going out on loan even, and he's one of the captains of the football club. And when I saw his name, when Zerbi said he's part of the captains list, it did seem a bit strange. I know he's been captain in pre-season and everything like that, but I don't think he should be one of the captains of the team. I think it's a bit over the top.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about this since the game finished and everything. And obviously, when he gets announced as captain, and when he's been captain in pre-season, and we all know he's like a player that all the coaches rate, and he's quite mature for his age, and everyone sees him as a future kind of leader. So I kind of understand, and also, with all the signings we're making, De Zerbi wants him to feel like you are important and he's got the trust of him. But giving him the actual captaincy on a Premier League game, when you've got Robbo there, you've got Gallagher there, who's a leader who's already. You've got Van Hecker, who's starting games for the Dutch team. You've got Senesi, who's one of the leaders in the. I don't know.
Tonali.
He must have captained the Bournemouth team a few times. You've got Tonali there, who's one of the leaders. Are they all really going to be quiet and listen to Archie Gray, who's, let's be brutally honest, has barely won a Premier League game? It's true,
right.
Isn't it?
It's true.
He has barely actually won a game in a Tottenham shirt. So what kind of, are they actually is he really going to be riling them up and getting more out of them? Is he going to be the one they all listen to?
He's a kid.
He's a kid.
You can't have him as one of the captains of the club. It's a joke, really, when you think about it.
It is a bit of a joke.
I don't know any other team in the Premier League that has someone of Archie Gray's stature in the squad as one of the captains of their football club.
But what does he actually know about leading a team?
Nothing.
And leading a successful team? Or a team to victory? What does he know about that?
Archie Gray should not be anywhere near the captaincy of this football club. The more I think about it, the more crazy it is.
Yeah, it is. You got to question that decision. Look, maybe it's just, obviously we know he's 5th choice. So he's in normal circumstances, you've got Van der Ven, you've got Porro, and you've got
but he
Davis
shouldn't even be 5th choice.
And Maddison all ahead of him. So maybe it's kind of more of a ceremonial kind of thing rather than, okay, you're actually the captain. But as fans, we can only see who has the armband on, and then we have to take that at face value. And when, like, I just don't see, like, Robertson actually sitting down and listening to what Gray has to say. You know what I mean? Not to say that he doesn't like him or doesn't think he's a good player or even respect him, but he's not gonna listen to Gray and be like, "You're right, like, yeah, you're gonna get us up for this."
For me, you got to earn it. You got to earn the captaincy, and he's been a good young player for us. He's filled in plenty of positions. I rate him as a player. I think he's got a big future ahead of him, but he's not done anywhere near enough in the game as of yet to warrant being a captain.
Yeah, I don't mind him. Like, in a weird way, I don't mind him being in the leadership group, like, to have a voice for who represents maybe the younger players and, like, has their ear, and he can kind of give what they're saying in that sense. So I don't mind him being in the room, if you know what I mean. But him actually leading out the team in a Premier League game, that doesn't sit right with me.
I don't even understand him being even in the room in part of the leadership group.
Because I'm saying, because there's a lot of younger players, and maybe he can represent them in the room.
Yeah, but it's up to the older players to lean those young. Why do the younger players need a representative in the leadership?
Because they have
group?
a voice. They're people.
Yeah, but they're people that will get led by the more experienced players in the group.
Yeah, but sometimes there's a gap. There's a gap between generations.
I don't know.
Kid. I don't know the leadership groups of the other clubs. I can't tell you.
Yeah, but it's just not a thing like having a representative of the younger players, the representative of the team. They're all a team
but
together.
They're different generations. Sometimes someone from a different generation can see things differently. So I think it is good to have someone there that can tell you where they're coming from if there's a disagreement or whatever. I think it's a good thing that he's part of those conversations. I don't think that's ridiculous. But I think him actually leading out the team, I think that is a bit of a joke.
Anyway, let's move on.
And in terms of him yesterday, just quickly, he got absolutely cooked, and he was horrible. I thought the second goal and the third goal, he was really horrible. Sorry, the first goal and the third goal, he was really horrible in both those games, both those moments. If he's going to be our backup right back playing like that, then we're in trouble. But again, let's hope down the line it's under different circumstances.
Jan-Paul van Hecke. Debut for Spurs. Sim gives him a 2. I gave him a 3. Weak on and off the ball. Off the ball, I mean, he was an absolute joke, to be honest. Aerially, on the floor. When he was stepping out, he was leaving gaps in behind him that he wasn't able to recover. His on the ball passing ability, I thought, was poor, weak. I was expecting so much more from Van Hecke, and he's got a lot of improving to do. He needs to get to grips with things very quickly.
Yeah, it was not a good debut. Has had a pretty solid pre-season, but this game was a concern. The way he got beaten in the air by Kevin Schade, of all players, is a worry. Like, he shouldn't be getting bullied by a Brentford winger. That shouldn't be acceptable for him. He's supposed to be our big, strong centre back who's 6'4", he's tall. You can't be getting bullied in the air. Igor Thiago, I understand, is a bit more different, but even him, he should be beating him more often than not. He shouldn't be getting bullied, so that's a problem. He looked slow. His passing wasn't as good as it was in pre-season. I think, we know he's a good passer, so I'm not too worried about that. But I think what's been called into question previously has been his defending. It has been those elements, and he didn't alleviate any of those fears yesterday. So a lot to improve on.
Yeah. Next up, Senesi, who I thought was better than Van Hecke. We both give him a 5. You guys have given him a 4.5. I think he was a lot better on the ball than Van Hecke. You really saw that passing ability come to light. I thought he was making a number of really important clearances and blocks inside our box. I think he looked a lot more competent and a lot more ready to be on that pitch than Van Hecke, and that doesn't really make sense to me because Marco Senesi, okay, he didn't play too much, but he was in the World Cup to the latter stages and he would have a shorter pre-season than Van Hecke did. So I like what I saw from Senesi. Look, he wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination, and I still think, in behind he was caused problems and a couple of really bad kind of mistakes of tracking players in the goal that we conceded. So, and he probably should have reacted a bit better from one of Kinski's parries, the third one. So, look, it wasn't all good, but I felt that he was a lot more competent than Van Hecke.
Yeah, I don't think he was bullied as much. I think he was winning a lot more duels than Van Hecke was. I didn't like him for the first goal. You watch it back, he's kind of in no man's land, not marking anyone, not blocking the cross either. So, pretty much doing nothing. Second goal, I didn't really like. He was on his heels as well when Kinski spilled it, just allowing Janelt to tap it home. Third one, I got a bit more sympathy because I actually think he blocks it, and if he doesn't block it, it goes in. So, not really his fault, but he blocked it, hit Kinski. The shot had a lot of power and then ended up falling to Cody anyway, and he scored. So, it's not, I mean, he blocked it, but it still meant a goal. I think his partnership with Van Heck is going to need a lot of work. A lot of work. And the problem is, going into this season, everyone's like, they're great on the ball, but both of them have problems with defending, and them together, you know, could be bad. And on first showing, it is bad right now, but let's hope it won't be bad for too long.
Yeah, it's a debate we had, isn't it? Coming into when we signed both of them. I said I don't think these guys should be matched up with each other because they're too slow. You need one at least that has a bit of pace, and I think my fears came to light in this game, that's for sure. Next up is Andy Robertson. Again, 5s all round. You guys give him a 4.4. One of our biggest attacking outlets, albeit we didn't have much of an attacking outlet, but he was one of the biggest ones. Brilliant ball for Mikey Moore at the back stick when Mikey Moore's got a score. Yeah, I thought in terms of the back line, we were much stronger on the left-hand side than we were on the right-hand side, and Andy Robertson was definitely a part of that. One really important header in the first half, which definitely could have been a goal for Brentford, so he helped us in that aspect. I thought he had a tough time against Utara, in my opinion. He came out on top a couple of times, but also Utara did cook him a couple of times as well. So up and down from that aspect. But a lot better than Archie Gray was on the right-hand side, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it was bad from Robbo. I'm saying this to a lot of players. I didn't like him for the first goal. He got caught on his heels by Sangare, who got in behind him, and he wasn't able to catch up with him, and obviously laid it on a plate for Lewis Potter goal. I think defensively, I actually thought he was one of our better players, funnily enough, on the day. And I think a few times, if it wasn't for him, we would have conceded a couple more goals, actually, if it wasn't for his interventions. Going forwards, he actually was allowed to whip in quite a few crosses. A few times he was aiming for Mikey Moore, which, obviously one of them he should have got an assist, but a few times in the first half he was aiming it in the air to Moore, and obviously Moore was never going to win any of these aerial duels, we know that, and Richarlison clearly was just not feeling it yesterday, so he wasn't winning anything, so he was kind of on a hiding to nothing from that. But on another day, he really should have had an assist. Moore should be bearing it. He should have had an assist to his name. I don't think it was bad from Robbo overall.
Next up is Sandro Tonali, big £100 million signing from Newcastle. 4s all round for Tonali. You guys give him a 4.3. He wasn't really... Look, first half was really bad from him. I don't think he was physical enough, wasn't imposing himself enough. Our midfield was getting run ragged, and look, I think he was trying to cover a couple of spaces with Bergvall just going missing a lot of the time. But I just expected a lot more from Tonali. I did think it improved to the second half a little bit when he got more cover around him with Bentancur and Matheus Fernandes. But still, as debuts go, it's not going to go up there with one of the best, is it?
No. He was also short quality. There was that one moment that really sticks out where he's driven the ball forward. He cut inside from about 25 yards. He tries to play this square pass, and no one's even there, and Brentford just go on a counter-attack and just, put us under pressure, and that was like, God, what is he doing at that moment? I think, he looked better when he had Bentancur and Fernandes around him. I think he did struggle with Bergvall next to him.
Next up is Lucas Bergvall. 2 from Sim, a 3 from me. I told you he should never have started, and in hindsight, that's definitely true as well. 2.6 from you guys. I'm not sure why I've given him a mark up, but maybe I'm just feeling a bit... don't want to go too hard on him after the first game of the season, I guess. But, he just left us with a gaping hole in midfield. He was running us into trouble. In the first 5 minutes of the game, he tries to dribble out from our box and loses the ball, and it ends up in a big chance for Brentford, and they header just wide. And that was kind of a sign of things to come, because things like that were just happening throughout the game. To be honest, he just didn't look anywhere near at the levels we needed to face, a really ready Brentford side. So, really poor showing, and he got hauled off at half-time, and quite rightly so. Yeah,
he was a headless chicken yesterday, there's no doubt about it, like we have seen. He struggled badly. He was putting us into trouble on the ball, off the ball. Again, first goal, he just let Sangare run off him, and he just didn't do anything about it. The second goal, he gives the ball away on the edge of the box to Jensen when he's trying a silly little ball roll, which, you know, just doesn't need to try that. And it was really bad. He wasn't covering the spaces we needed him to cover. It was a very bad performance from Bergvall. There was a couple of moments he drove into the space, you know, quite brightly, and there was a moment as well. He was part of that move which him and Gallagher and I think Richarlison all put a couple passes together, and Bergvall found himself in the box, and he tried to square it for Gallagher but couldn't find him. So that was a nice moment, but it was way outweighed by the negative moments.
Mikey Moore. Up next, 3s from us, 3.3 from you guys. In the first half, completely non-existent. I think he had like 4 touches or something in the first half.
He really struggled.
Which was mad. Like, he just could not get himself involved in the game. Didn't do enough to come back and help Archie Gray, who was really struggling. In the second half, after we went 3-0 down, he had 3 really presentable chances. The first 2, just really poor efforts, the easiest saves that Kelleher's going to have to make all season. The third one, he actually forced Kelleher into a save, so I give him a bit more credit for that one, but at least one of them he's got to be put in the back of the net, at least. So, look, I give him credit for being there and actually, you know, having our 3 best chances of the game, but you've got to put it away at this level. You've got to put it away. So, look, he's got a lot of learning to do. He's got a lot of developing to do. And I think if that performance is anything to go by, I think the loan is the right move.
Yeah, agreed. I think physically he's still struggling. He did get, as you say, a few moments to get away from Lewis Potter. What I would say is the first 2 chances, they were kind of put on a plate for him, and the finish was so weak on both of them. It was really frustrating. The second one, what I would say is I actually really liked his first touch. He was, I think, was it Fernandez who played it through to him? It was a really nice ball, but he just takes this really good touch to cut across Keane Lewis Potter, which means any touch from him and it's a penalty. So it was really clever from him. He got himself in a really good position, and the strike was decent, but it wasn't good enough to beat Kelleher. So I really liked his movement there and his touch in front of goal. But the first 2 chances it looked like an academy player, those 2 shots.
Yeah. All right, next up is Conor Gallagher. Sim gives him a 2. I gave him a 3.
Theme here.
Yeah, 2.7 from you guys out there. Yeah, ran around like a headless chicken. Absolutely contributed nothing to us going forward. Sideways, backwards, everywhere we go once again. No impact at all.
Yeah, and he had one moment to actually do something. He has Tel and Moore in support. We've actually got an attack on, and he decided to shoot it from 30 yards over the bar. Like, what are you doing, Conor?
It was 0-0. No, it was 1-0. No, it was 2-0 at that stage, but it could have got us back in the game.
Yeah, it could have been something. He was just horrendous. He's just so horrendous. He's such a... What I don't like about Conor is the way he plays football is just so ugly. He's just not a nice player to watch. And that is just something which I'm struggling to get on board with him. I think... If he was like, you know, a bit silky, or he had some nice moves, or he had crisp passing or something to cling on to, maybe I could be the way he plays can be a bit more palatable. But he's just so clunky and so hard to watch, and he's supposed to be our number 10, and yeah, it's not great.
Mathys Tel, you gave him a 5, I gave him a 4. In the first half, I thought he was really struggling to create anything. You know, I thought Coyote, did a good job on him, and Tel was struggling to take it past him, or even attempting to take it past him. There are a couple of nice moves that he was involved in, but in the first half I thought he really struggled. Second half I thought he looked a bit better, with a bit of better link-up play with Andy Robertson, and let's be real, if anything was going to happen, it was going to happen down that left-hand side with Robertson and Mathys Tel. So I thought he was better than our other attacking players, but still, I don't think it was that great.
I think we looked our most dangerous when him and Robertson were linking, definitely. I think the second half, he was a lot more livelier. He was getting into really good spaces. He linked up with Robbo quite well. I think if he had better players around him, you would see a lot more from him. I think he really struggled to do a lot by himself. I think he was getting no support from Gallagher whatsoever. I did think in the first half, though, like a lot of the team, he was really struggling to get involved. I did think, though, he was a lot more helpful to Robertson defensively than the other side. I give him credit for that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was, unfortunately, the continuation from pre-season that we had hoped, but I don't think he was as bad as the other players.
Richarlison. Yeah, you guessed it. Sim gives him a 2. I gave him a 3. 2.4.
To be honest, I think he was generous. I think I was generous.
Yeah, you probably were generous, to be fair. Look, we're not going to see him in a Spurs shirt again, but in this game alone, what did he do? Apart from lose aerial duels, what did he actually do? Nothing.
Yeah, and he was so weak for that second goal. So weak to lose the ball. Every time the ball got played to him, he lost the duel. And didn't just lose it, he lost it very easily. And didn't even make it difficult for the opposition. It was really hard to watch from Rishi. There was I don't think he had a shot or even got near goal. I think he spent more time on the floor than he did with the ball at his feet, as per usual. Yes, it was a horrible day for Rishi. Horrible day.
Subs bench, James Maddison came on with 20 minutes to go. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. 4.1 from you guys. I think he looked sharper than what we saw last week in the behind closed doors friendly, but I don't think we saw too many quality moments from James Maddison. It was just nice to see him on the pitch and nice to see him look a bit sharper than what we saw last week.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few stats to kind of just tell a little bit of a story of what a difference he made. Like, how long did he come on for?
20 minutes.
20 minutes, and he had more touches in the opposition box than anyone apart from Mikey Moore for Tottenham.
Wow.
So I think that tells you, like, even though he's not fully fit, even though he's not his best, just his movement, his IQ just gets him more involved than a lot of our other players.
So basically what we're saying is a Maddison who's just returned from an ACL and another injury is more impactful than a Conor Gallagher that's had a full pre-season and had no injuries.
Correct. And I think the positions he was taking up and the little things he was able to do made a small difference, and it just asked different questions of Brentford. They forced tackle him in different positions, opened up a few spaces, but yeah, he's still clearly not at his sharpest. But I'm happy to see him getting a little bit sharper from last week.
Destiny Udogie came on. I mean, he just came on in the last few minutes of the game, so I just gave him a 5. You guys giving him a 4.2. Hard to make any sweeping judgments, really. He didn't really have much time on the pitch.
Yeah, but he looked all right, I thought. He looked quick, got to the byline a couple times. So I thought he made a little small impact, but yeah, he didn't have a lot of time.
Matheus Fernandes, 6 all round for Matheus. You guys give him a 5.5. Spurs is best player on the day. He came on in a bit more an advanced role, and I think he was making a real impact in off the ball and on the ball. In terms of what we saw in the middle of the park, he was one that was able to get it on the ball and actually play it forward. we didn't see that from pretty much any midfielder. So I love that from Matheus, and I think off the ball as well, he was able to help us regain somewhat a little bit of control in the middle of the park. So I like what I saw from Matheus.
Yeah, I think he just so much more controlled. So much classier, wasn't giving the ball away, was able to receive it and turn on it without giving it away. You just felt so much more comfortable with him on the pitch, and I feel like that's going to be a theme this season with Matheus Fernandes. So really nice cameo, nothing groundbreaking. I don't think it was unbelievable, but it was nice to have him on the pitch.
Next up is Dominic Solanke. Came on with 20 minutes to go. 4s all round. You guys given a 3.3. I don't think really he did much. Only had 20 minutes, so obviously it wasn't his fault that we lost the game. The game was gone by the time he came on, but yeah, I don't really remember too much that he did.
Had a shot blocked, which is probably more than Richarlison did in the 70 minutes, but other than that, one other thing is he should have had a free kick on the edge of the box. For that foul by Sharda.
And that's why he gets a 4.
He completely wiped him when that should have been a foul, wasn't given. Yeah, didn't really do too much.
Rodrigo Bentancur, 5s all round. You guys giving him a 4.4. Comes on, and I think he impacted why we had a bit more control in the middle of the park. However, he contested a lot of duels, didn't win too many of them, and gave away a penalty with poor push in the back, really. So yeah, but up and down from Bentancur, but I think he definitely deserved to start over Bergvall.
Yeah, him just being a bit more competitive in duels helped us a little bit. and that just made us a little bit more more competitive in that second half. So it was a positive sub, but yeah, I don't think he came on. I don't think he looked his sharpest again. I think you could see with the penalty, he was just off the pace a little bit. But I think he was okay.
Yeah, he came on and within like 2 minutes he gave away a penalty, pretty much. And then you go to Roberto De Zerbi. 3s all round for De Zerbi, 3.9 from you guys. For me, picked the wrong team. And he knew it. He knew it before the game. He picked the wrong team. So he's definitely got to be marked down for that. After the comments he made after the game, we're not ready for this season, and he's the manager, so it's got to go down to him why we're not ready, even though there are a few situations maybe out of his control. But there are players that are there that have had a pre-season, so at least they should be ready. Tactically, I don't think he got across to his players exactly how we want to play and how to implement it. So I just think it was a bad day at the office for everyone, and Roberto De Zerbi was at the helm, and I felt like he should have managed the game better. He made changes at half-time and did kind of somewhat rectify it a little bit. It still wasn't great in the second half, but it was a lot better than it was in the first half. Yeah,
so gets a couple marks because he did change it quickish at half-time, and things got a little bit better. But there's nothing I can sit here and say he did well in terms of what he brought to the team. There's questionable selections, Gray captain, horrible defensively, weren't able to even create any chances offensively. Build up seemed to be horrible. The long ball to Richarlison didn't seem to work at all. I can't sit here and say he did anything well. Look, I still really rate him as a manager, of course. And this was a very difficult day for him. Like it almost felt like there was only so much he could do in terms of yesterday to get a result. I feel like we were kind of on a hiding to nothing when you look at the situation. But I don't think he helped himself either in a few situations.
Yeah. So look, that is our player ratings. Let us know your ratings in the comments section below. As